What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about what I think the biggest problem with the 2011 style handguns, chambered in 9mm, specifically the 9mm ones. And I'll just cut to the chase and say it's the magazines. The magazines are the biggest problem with the 9mm 2011 style pistols. And why is it the magazine? It's not because they're poorly made. They're actually very nice magazines. The problem is they're not dedicated 9mm magazines. Okay, these are 38 Super magazines. These are converted 45 magazines and 38 Super, 10 mil. They all kind of use the same mag, and it's the length this way that is the problem. So let me see if I can explain this. Instead of making, this is exactly why you will see companies like Wilson Combat, Kimber. There's some other ones out there I can't think of off the top of my head, but those are the two big ones I can think of right now. Like Wilson Combat's, I think it's called the EDC-9 or whatever. They built it around, I think, a CZ, maybe it was a SIG P226 mag, but it was a dedicated 9mm magazine. Most of these other guns, like this one, the TSOS, the 2011 style, and this is a fantastic gun, side note, were built off of the 45 size frame, or 38 Super, or 10mm. So they just converted the magazines, and in some cases they didn't even convert them. They just left them as is, and I'll show you some of them. They just changed the barrel, changed the brief face, and they just kind of roll with a 38 Super, a wider magazine than a 9mm magazine. And I'm going to show you examples of how some of them, the manufacturers have corrected it and done stuff like that, but it's still not a dedicated 9mm magazine, which is, at the time of filming this video in early 2025, why a lot of companies like Platypus, I think even Staccato is doing it now, and some of these other ones are making 2011 style pistols to take like Glock mags or CZ mags, or they're using dedicated 9 mags because they've realized that it helps out with the reliability of the gun. It really does. So this is one of the times that I'm going to actually have some live ammo here. So, but we're going to be safe with it because I don't have dummy cartridges for all this. I didn't want to load it up for all this. But to prove to you that this is a 38 Super style magazine, we're going to measure the length here. So it says 34.9mm. So roughly 35 millimeters thickness here. I got some 38 Super here. I'm going to show you now. This is the magazine that came with the TSOS, and they're the same for the Staccatos and the freaking what's the Springfield Armory one, the Prodigy and stuff like that. But I have 5 rounds of 38 Super here that we're going to stick in this mag. So as you can see, the 38 Super, this is 38 Super, because you can see by the rim on the cartridge, here's a 9 right here, okay? Here's a 38 Super. There's roughly 3 millimeters difference in length. And as you can see, all 5 of these fit just fine in the magazine. They fit perfect, because that's what this was designed for. So let me take these out. The 38 Super fits perfectly in there, and I'll put a 9 in there. Now you see the difference between the front of the, let me get a little pointer. Oh, I got a pencil. You see the difference between the front of the mag and the front of the cartridge here? Now on top of that, stack on top of that, you have the feed ramp. So you have an extra, let me see here. Let me actually measure these. I think it's around 3 millimeters. So the overall length on this one's coming in at like 32.3 millimeters. And this one's 28, 29. So you're about 4 or 5 millimeters. I was wrong, right? 4 or 5? Did I say 3 millimeters? Hold on. Okay, this one's got it at 32.3 and this one's at, no, 29. So I was right. So about a little over, let's say 3.3 millimeters, a little over 3 millimeters difference in length. Okay. And then you have the feed ramp on top of that, which means it has to jump 3 extra millimeters over what like a 38 Super would have to jump. That can, sometimes that 3 millimeters is hard to overcome, especially if you have even shorter 9 millimeter cartridges, like hollow points. In this case, this is a 147, was this 26.7 millimeters. So this is even another 2+ millimeters shorter than a standard 9 millimeter length, as you can see here. See the, so it's even shorter. And this is a 147. This I shoot my suppressed pistols because you know, they're easier to make subsonic. So let's put that one over here. I'll put it right there. So that's even more of a jump that it has to jump to get from the front of the magazine to get to the feed ramp to skip up. All right. So let me see if I can get it on camera. If not, I'll try to roll in B-roll of, let me see. Do I have, where's my flashlight? Let me see if I can get this. Okay. You might be able to see it, but see the gap that it has to jump to get up into that feed ramp? And it's not that big of an issue if you, it becomes, I should say it this way, it becomes a bigger issue the fuller the mag is. So when you fill it all the way up and the spring's under extreme tension and pressure, it gets a lot harder where you can get the slide to hit the round and then it nosedives and it tries to hit the ramp and then it's got to come up and do this jazz. You know what I mean? It's got to come, it's hitting the thing, it nosedives in, it pushes forward, comes up, hits the ramp, and it's got to get extreme up there. Whereas the 38 Super, let's see if we can see that one. The 38 Super, let me see here. It's hard to tell in there. If I can get a better picture in B-roll, I'll roll it in. 38 Super has 3+ millimeters closer to the feed ramp to jump up in there. So it makes it inherently more reliable. So why didn't they use the dedicated mags? This has been done before. This is a standard 1911 mag. And again, we're going to measure all these. 34.9, so roughly 35 millimeters on the standard 45 mag. 34.9, see? That one's got 35. It's roughly 35. Here is a single stack 1911 9 millimeter mag. I might have bumped it. 34.9. So they're all the same width this way because all the companies did, because they kept the firearm frame the same size as the original 45. Like when they had the 9 millimeter Commander, they didn't change the frame. They kept the same frame and they adjusted the magazines, changed out the barrel, and changed the breech face on the pistol. But what Colt did and what the single stack guys did was they made it different. So again, same size. This is a 45 mag. This is a 9 millimeter mag. But what do you see right there? They put a spacer in the back. And they put a 9 millimeter follower in there. Okay? They also pinched on both sides. They pinched the mags right here to hand and on top. You can see they put the lines in on both sides. Pinch the cartridges to help with reliability, where they don't have that on the 45 mag and they have the full length follower front to back. So they put a spacer in there. All right. And then let's see, where's the 9? As you can see, it pushes it, that extra, you might not be able to see it because of there is the spacer in the back. It pushed it forward, that extra, that's probably a couple of millimeters. I don't know if I can measure that. Let me push this down. 3.5 millimeters. So they moved it forward closer to the feed ramp, 3.5 millimeters, the distance that was lacking for a 38 Super /45 auto. So I don't know why companies didn't do that with the 2011 mags. You know, they get them to work. Listen, 2011s are really reliable, and they get it to work. However, if you start going shorter, it's been my experience, if you start going shorter than a factory length, let's say 124, 115, 147, if you start going shorter than this, like this, you start experiencing problems. And the more the mag is, like I said, especially if it's a full 17 round mag, you will start experiencing more feeding problems and nosediving and issues with the shorter overall length one, which is like, here's a 9mm mag. Here's a dedicated 9mm mag that does not require the spacer or anything. See how close it is to the end, which again, the feed ramp and the pistol will be right here on the end. So it only has to jump that little distance, which makes it inherently more reliable. And then a dedicated 9mm mag is 31.8 millimeters this way, at least for Taurus, for this mag. That's what this one is. So basically, that's one of the issues, and I think the industry is starting to recognize that, which is why they are shifting towards dedicated 9mm mags, like the companies, again, like Wilson Combat, Platypus, stuff like that. Again, these are very reliable guns, especially if you have the ammunition length correct. But they're even more reliable if they have to jump less distance to get into the chamber. So there it is, guys. I don't know, maybe you know why they didn't put, all they have to do is put a rib in the back of these, like on the single stack Colt. Maybe it's a problem. Maybe it's a problem with the double stack on here. Maybe it's a problem to put the double stack rib, although you could probably just weld a 3.5mm thick piece of metal cut in this shape, weld and insert it in the back and put a 9mm follow in there, and it'd probably help a bunch, you know? I don't know, guys. You let me know what you think. There it is. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.